My mom begged me not to go to the nightclub. Hours later, I was saved from a terrible accident. The rain hammered against my bedroom window in our small apartment in downtown Portland, Oregon. It was one of those typical Pacific Northwest nights where the cold seemed to seep through every crack in the building. I was getting ready for what I thought would be the night of my life. My best friend Jake's 21st birthday party at Club Neon, the hottest spot in the city. "Sarah, please. I have a terrible feeling about tonight," my mom pleaded from my doorway, her voice trembling with worry. She was still in her hospital scrubs from her double shift at Oregon Health and Science University Hospital, dark circles under her eyes telling the story of another exhausting day. I rolled my eyes as I applied my lipstick, avoiding her reflection in the mirror. "Mom, you say that every time I go out. I'm 20 years old. I can take care of myself." "It's not about your age, sweetheart. It's about mother's intuition. Something feels wrong tonight. The weather is getting worse, and you know how dangerous those downtown streets can be when it's raining like this." The wind outside picked up, rattling the old windows of our apartment. We'd lived here since Dad left when I was 15, and Mom had worked double shifts ever since to keep us afloat. Every penny went toward rent and my college tuition at Portland State University. "Mom, I've been looking forward to this for weeks. Jake's been my best friend since high school, and this is his big night. I can't just abandon him because you have a feeling." She sat down heavily on my bed, her shoulders sagging with exhaustion and worry. "Sarah, in all my years as a nurse, I've learned to trust my instincts. They've saved lives. Please, just this once, listen to me." I turned to face her, frustration building in my chest. "You're being ridiculous. What's the worst that could happen? I take an Uber there and back. I stay with my friends. I don't drink and drive. I do everything right. Sometimes doing everything right isn't enough," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "Your father used to say the same thing before he—" "Don't!" I cut her off sharply. "Don't bring Dad into this. He left because he wanted to, not because of some accident or feeling you had." The hurt in her eyes was immediate and deep. I regretted the words as soon as they left my mouth, but my pride wouldn't let me take them back. "I'm going, Mom. End of discussion." I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. The sound of the rain grew louder as I approached the front door. "Sarah, wait!" But I was already out the door, pulling my jacket tight against the cold October rain. The Uber ride to Club Neon was tense and silent. The driver, an older man named Miguel, kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror with concern etched on his weathered face. "You sure you want to go out in this weather, miss? The roads are getting pretty bad," he said as we stopped at a red light on Southwest Morrison Street. The rain was coming down so hard that the windshield wipers could barely keep up. "I'll be fine," I replied, but my voice lacked conviction. Mom's worried face kept flashing in my mind, and guilt was eating away at my resolve. Club Neon was packed despite the weather. The bass thumped through the walls, and colorful lights flashed through the windows. I could see Jake through the crowd, laughing with our college friends near the DJ booth. For a moment, seeing him happy made me forget about the argument with Mom. "Sarah, you made it!" Jake shouted over the music as I approached. He was already a few drinks in, his face flushed with excitement and alcohol. "I thought you weren't coming when you didn't answer my last text." "I almost didn't," I admitted, accepting a hug from him. "My mom was being difficult." "Moms worry too much," he laughed, handing me a drink. "That's what they do. But you're here now, and that's what matters." The night progressed with dancing, laughter, and catching up with friends I hadn't seen since summer break. But something felt off. Every time I looked at my phone, I saw 3 missed calls from Mom and several texts. "Please come home. I can't shake this feeling. I love you." Around midnight, I stepped outside for some air. The rain had intensified, and the streets were starting to flood. Emergency vehicles were racing past with increasing frequency, their sirens cutting through the sound of the storm. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Severe weather warning, flash flooding reported across downtown Portland. Residents advised to avoid unnecessary travel. I stared at the screen, Mom's voice echoing in my head. "Something feels wrong tonight." "Hey, you okay?" Jake appeared beside me, concerned by my sudden departure from the dance floor. "I think I should go home," I said, watching as another ambulance screamed past. "This weather is getting dangerous. Come on, don't let a little rain ruin the party. We're just getting started." But as I looked around at the chaos outside, cars struggling through flooded streets, people running for cover, the city's infrastructure clearly overwhelmed, I realized Mom had been right to worry. "I'm calling an Uber," I decided, pulling out my phone. "If you're really determined to leave, I'll drive you," Jake offered, keys already in his hand. "Absolutely not. You've been drinking, and these roads are a nightmare. After 15 minutes of trying, I finally got through to a rideshare service, but the wait time was over an hour due to the weather conditions. Standing there in the cold rain, watching the city struggle against the storm, I finally understood what Mom had been trying to tell me. I was huddled under the club's small awning, shivering as I waited for my ride, when my phone rang. Mom's name appeared on the screen, and for the first time that night, I was actually relieved to see it. Mom, Sarah, thank God, she interrupted, her voice thick with tears and relief. I've been watching the news. Downtown is flooding badly. There was a massive accident on the Morrison Bridge. A truck jackknifed and multiple cars are involved. My blood ran cold. The Morrison Bridge was the exact route I would have taken home if I'd left earlier, when I'd originally planned. Are you safe? Please tell me you're somewhere safe, she continued, her words coming out in a rush. I'm still at the club. Mom, the Morrison Bridge. That's the way I always go home. I know, sweetheart. I know. Her voice broke. I called the hospital to check if they needed extra help with the storm casualties. They told me about the accident. It happened around 11:30. I sank against the brick wall, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. If I had listened to my initial instincts, if I had come home when Mom first asked, I would have been on that bridge at exactly the wrong time. The victims, I whispered. 3 cars involved, 2 people hospitalized, 1 in critical condition. Sarah, if you had left when you first wanted to, I couldn't finish the sentence, and neither could she. Jake appeared beside me, immediately noticing my pale face and shaking hands. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I managed to tell him about the accident, about how the timing would have put me right in the middle of it. His face went white. Your mom's intuition literally saved your life, he said quietly. On the phone, Mom was crying now. I'm so sorry I couldn't explain it better. I just knew something terrible was going to happen tonight. I could feel it in my bones. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for what I said about Dad. I'm sorry for being so stubborn. I'm sorry for not listening to you. None of that matters now. What matters is that you're safe. The Uber finally arrived. A different driver than before. A woman named Rosa, who navigated the flooded streets with careful expertise. As we drove through downtown, I could see the aftermath of the storm. Emergency vehicles everywhere, streets blocked off, and in the distance, the flashing lights marking the accident scene on the Morrison Bridge. You're lucky you weren't out there earlier, Rosa commented, noticing my shocked expression. This storm caught everyone off guard. The bridge accident was just the beginning. There have been incidents all over the city tonight. I gripped my phone tighter, realizing how close I'd come to disaster. When we finally pulled up to my apartment building, I could see Mom silhouetted in our window, watching for me. She must have been standing there for hours. I climbed the 3 flights of stairs to our apartment, each step heavy with the weight of the night's revelations. My clothes were still damp from the rain, but that was nothing compared to the emotional storm raging inside me. Mom opened the door before I could even reach for my keys. Her face was streaked with tears, her hospital scrubs wrinkled from hours of anxious waiting. Sarah, she whispered, pulling me into the tightest hug of my life. We stood there in the doorway for what felt like forever, just holding each other. The rain continued to pound against the windows, but inside our small apartment, there was finally peace. I was so scared, she admitted as we finally pulled apart. Not just about the accident, but about our fight. I thought if something happened to you, the last thing we'd said to each other would be angry words. I helped her to the couch, noticing how exhausted she looked. Mom, how did you know? How could you possibly have known about the bridge? She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. When your father left, I promised myself I would never let anything happen to you that I could prevent. Over the years, I've learned to pay attention to feelings that don't make logical sense. Tonight, every instinct I had was screaming that you were in danger. But it doesn't make sense scientifically. Love doesn't always make scientific sense, sweetheart. She looked up at me with tired but wise eyes. A mother's love is something beyond logic. It's intuition built from years of caring for someone more than yourself. I thought about all the times Mom had worked double shifts to pay for my college, all the sacrifices she'd made since Dad left, all the nights she'd waited up when I was out late. I said terrible things to you tonight, I whispered. You said what you felt in the moment. That's what young people do. But Sarah, I need you to understand something. I don't ask you to stay home because I don't trust you. I ask because I love you so much that the thought of losing you terrifies me. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of pancakes and coffee. Mom was already up, despite having worked a double shift the day before, making my favorite breakfast. You didn't have to do this, I said, joining her in our small kitchen. I wanted to. Besides, I called in sick today. After last night, I just wanted to spend time with my daughter. As we ate breakfast together, I watched her carefully. Really watched her. I saw the lines around her eyes from years of worry and hard work. I saw the way she smiled when she looked at me, as if I was the most precious thing in her world. Mom, I want to understand better. About Dad, about intuition, about everything. She set down her coffee cup and took my hands in hers. Your father didn't leave because of an accident or a feeling I had. He left because he couldn't handle the responsibility of a family. But that experience taught me something valuable. That love means being willing to fight for the people who matter, even when they push you away. Like you fought for me last night. Exactly like that. We spent the rest of the morning talking, really talking, for the first time in years. I learned about the dreams Mom had given up to raise me, about the nights she'd cried herself to sleep after Dad left, about how proud she was of the woman I was becoming. I don't ever want to dismiss your feelings again, I promised her. And I don't want you to feel like you can't live your life because of my worries. We need to find a balance. That evening, Jake called to check on me. The news was reporting that the Morrison Bridge accident had been even worse than initially thought. The critical patient hadn't made it. Your mom saved your life, he said simply. I don't know how, but she did. Looking at Mom, who was grading papers at our kitchen table, still in her comfortable clothes from our day together, I finally understood what real love looked like. It wasn't just about saying the right words or buying expensive gifts. It was about caring so deeply for someone that you're willing to be the bad guy, to have them angry at you, if it means keeping them safe. Yeah, I agreed quietly. She really did. That night, as I got ready for bed, Mom knocked softly on my door. Thank you for listening to me eventually, she said with a small smile. Thank you for never giving up on me, even when I was being impossible. That's what mothers do, sweetheart. We love unconditionally, and we trust our instincts when it comes to our children. As I drifted off to sleep, I thought about the lesson I'd learned. Sometimes the people who love us most can see dangers we can't. Sometimes trust isn't about logic. It's about recognizing that love itself can be a form of protection. And sometimes, the best thing we can do is simply listen to the people who have spent their lives learning to love us well.